Utra, what's happening, my man? How are we doing?
Hey, happy Sunday afternoon to you, brother. You doing okay?
I'm good, man. It's been a rough week. Lost a friend of mine, Mike Schmal, one of the coolest, craziest, smartest guys I've ever met. He's also
Yeah.
a coworker with me at Tucker Power Sports, and it's been tough. I'll tell you, it sucks. I don't even know what to say, but yeah, it's been tough. He had a head injury on a scooter. He didn't have a helmet on, but who hasn't jumped on a skateboard, bike, or scooter without a helmet? I
Exactly.
think for the most part, Mike wore helmets, safety gear, and just freak thing sucks. So, but leading into that, I'm excited. We have Laurie coming on today, right?
Yep.
And he is also recovering from a pretty severe head injury, and it's something that I'm very passionate about. Brain injuries are they're unique. Every single brain injury is unique, and I'm curious about his story, and I'm glad he's coming on.
yeah, Nick is when if anybody watched the pre-Loretta's show, Nick is one of the guys that I thought was a legitimate contender in both classes that he had qualified for. He reminds me a lot of Ronnie Lechien, very, very poised on the bike, very, very smooth, huge jumper, kind of Magoo style, but not Magoo style, like crazy on that ragged edge, either going to clear it or wad up. He's very, very meticulous with that. And that's what kind of makes this story and situation about his head injury even more intriguing. I'll let him give the background on it because it was an epiphany for all of us because we didn't know what was the catalyst for the injury that we'll talk about tonight. I don't want to sound like we're talking in circles here, but Nick's the real deal. If I were if I had any teeth into a pro team, this would be the guy that I would be looking at seriously 2 years down the line from right now. Very, very hard worker off the bike, very meticulous on the bike, very methodical. Is unique of a Bale, a little bit of a Lechien, got a little bit of that O show in him. Those when you see him ride, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm looking forward to having him come on. He's been on our Moto E team for the last couple of years. I consider him a tremendous asset of the program for
I,
sure.
I had I had to giggle a little bit when you said Lachine. I love Lachine. He's one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. But if you want to model somebody after, that's not the guy. His writing style, yes. Lifestyle, no.
Yeah, riding
He would
style.
tell
That's
you
what I
that.
love. Yeah, that's what I love about Lechien. Lechien never looked like he was going fast, but he was going so fast. Until you saw the lap times, you're like, damn, he just never reminds me a lot of Christophe Purcell. They never look like they're even even talk about Ferrandis now. Sands sending that huge quad. It's just I don't know. Whenever you watch Ronnie, he just never. And I still go back and watch the old YouTube videos of the races because really, really rough track suspension that were nowhere even remotely close to what we're riding today,
When
but still smooth as butter.
Lachine didn't practice during the week, he was probably half high or drunk during the race. It was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's he is the most kind-hearted dude you'll ever meet. I mean, he's so open about it. He'll just tell you, yeah, it sucked, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, how many
But
guys have that same story, similar story? I'm sure Emig has some regrets. We know Ronnie has some regrets. Everybody's got their stuff.
yeah, and I've heard this, but I mean, I've heard some of these guys off the record telling their stories. Lachine's by far like
Yeah, absolutely.
he's in the majors. They're all just toying around in like, high school football, like he
Yeah.
took it to, it's amazing he lasted as long as he did. And I'm really happy that Ronnie's still here. The dude can still get on a bike. He's very large now, but he's still anytime he feels like it, he goes to the vet nationals, wherever, and just hauls ass
Yep.
out on his fishing boat. He's a good dude, but yeah, it's probably not someone I want people referring to unless they specify riding style.
Sure. Well, and Fred Daddy, J Bone was on Whiskey Throttle this week, and it was really cool because J Bone talked about how Emig got kind of a bad rap of always partying, and like I guess when Jeff was doing some announcing, when he had the announcing gig for a couple of years there, he was talking about he'd see these guys, and I loved his comment. He said, "You guys haven't earned the right to be enjoying yourselves after. You guys are partying just for the sake of partying." And he said, "I partied only when I did well, and even then it wasn't excessive. But of course, with him getting popped, it kind of gave the bad rap like he was a hardcore partier, and like J Bone said, he wasn't. But with the was that called Fresno now or whatever? With
Fresno
remember him,
Smooth.
Fresno Smooth. Remember him with the girls in the jacuzzi and all that with the ads and all.
Low
It definitely,
Dog. That's one of the
yeah,
best movies ever.
Well, it set that whole persona, and what J-Bone was saying was it was really not the true Emig, but that's okay. He ran with the label and had a good time with it. But when we get Nick Laurie on here, you'll see he's very, very good speaker, has a lot of character. And when you see him ride, he's poetry in motion. Really enjoy watching him ride.
When going back to that with Emig, if you hear Denny Stevenson and some of the guys that he ran with real tight, they're like, yeah, we'd go out to Club Rubber, party all night. We're up at like noon. Jeff's already got up and ran 6 miles, and
that's right.
And we're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
and that's what made him great.
Said.
And him and McGrath both did that same thing. They had a better balance than those guys close to them, and that's why. And they were friends, but they were also fierce rivals. So
absolutely, yeah. If you get a chance, definitely go. J-Bone did a great job. I'm only about halfway through it, but we'll leave it at that. We did have the new MPH, the Moto E Performance and Health Series, that gets dropped at the end of the show. So if you want to see or hear something about the difference between confidence and accomplishment, it's at the very end of the show there. So good listen.
Welcome to the first edition of MPH, Moto E Performance and Health. And we're here with Coach Rob Beams today, just going to go over one specific thing that we think can help folks who are looking to improve their race performance on the weekends, their general and overall health, and general overall wellness. I think that's something you and I always agree on, is that not everyone's a pro.
Absolutely.
But we all need to be healthy, and there's simple things we can all do to be better. And as it pertains to racing, there was something that originally came up on the Ryan Villapoto show, or with RV, about confidence versus accomplishment. And I had asked him a question long ago about how did you get so confident that you just came into the pro ranks winning? And he goes, what's confidence? He's like, I don't know. I just did it.
Yeah.
And it was staggeringly simple. And I thought, man, this kid doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But it really actually kind of was a gleaning into his psyche, where he wasn't just overthinking it.
Yep.
And then you and I kind of got into a conversation about that. So talk a little bit about that. Is confidence, how to build it, how it grows, and how you foster that.
What you brought up something that's really cool, especially when Billy was talking about it, because I always look at it as an endless loop. If the listeners will draw a circle and put confidence at the top and put accomplishment at the bottom, it's literally a rhetorical endless loop, right? You can't have one without the other. If you look at like what Villapoto was talking about, think about the amount of gate drops he had before he even went pro. You and I refer to it as athletic maturity. You've got to get gate drops. With every gate drop, you're going to learn a little bit more about yourself, about the racing, bike setup, et cetera, et cetera. When you get at that pinnacle where he was at, and he's talking about, well, I don't know, I just had it. That develops with gate drops. Mm-hmm. And then we get, for the sake of the listeners, you get those gate drops, you get enough of those, well, now the ball starts rolling literally and figuratively. So now you're like, okay, the more he accomplishes, the more confident he is. The more confident he is, the more he accomplishes. So we always say, well, which one comes first? To me, that you've got to put the effort in first. That's where the gate drops become important, because you got to, this again sounds a little hokey, you got to be willing to face failure.
Yeah.
You get on a gate drop, you can get humiliated, get lapped, whatever it may be. We've all had that first race. Mm. And once you get through that fear of, all right, I'm going to be the last place, or I may get lapped to look like a goofball, you learn a little bit more about yourself. And then you've been there where you've had that epiphany where you're like, wait, I do belong. I can do this. It's not some insurmountable. I love when, you do your, giving your feedback. When you talk about coming from a small little town and, looking at California as this big platform, you come here and the local guys are killing you because you realize everybody here is just a total badass. And you start to put things into perspective. And with Villapoto, I thought it was very cool because, yes, he accomplished so much, but what was the true catalyst for that? Well, to me, it's got to be results. Obviously being a human performance specialist, I'm always looking at things